She never thought she'd be the kind of woman who sends over $14,000 to a man she met on a beach. But that's exactly what happened. And the truth is, most people don't think it could ever be them. They think they're too smart, too seasoned, too careful to fall for a romance trap, especially on vacation. But in Punta Cana, where the sun feels perfect and the smiles come easy, the line between affection and manipulation gets blurry fast. Emily is from New Jersey. She works in healthcare, lives a stable life, and never imagined she could be pulled into the same kind of game many men fall for overseas. But this time, the scammer wasn't a woman. It was a younger Dominican beach boy with charm, confidence, and a polished routine that's trapped tourists from all over the world. Tonight's episode shows how a simple vacation turned into late-night promises, love bombing, fake business dreams, and eventually, a $14,000 heartbreak. Before we dive in, if you've ever traveled to Latin America, or you're planning to, make sure you're subscribed. These real stories could save you thousands. To understand how it all unfolded, we have to hear it from her. This is her story.
My name is Emily. I'm 35, I work for a healthcare company in New Jersey, and I've never been married. My life has always been stable, safe. I pay my bills, I show up to work, I try to be a good person. But somewhere along the way, love just never happened for me. Last summer, a friend invited me to a Dominican festival in my state. Music, food, dancing in the park. I went just for something different to do. What I didn't expect was how much it would wake something up inside me. The music, the energy, the way people moved, and the men. Confident, warm, flirtatious in this easy, natural way. I remember watching a group of Dominican guys laughing and dancing and thinking, I have never felt this kind of energy in New Jersey. On the way home, I had this thought, half joke, half serious. Maybe my person just doesn't live here. That thought stayed with me. A few weeks later, I did something I'd never done before. I booked a solo vacation to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, a resort, 10 days, all-inclusive. And if I'm being honest, it wasn't just about the beach. I wanted sun, I wanted a break from my routine, and deep down, I wanted to see if maybe love really was waiting for me somewhere else. The first couple of days were what you'd expect: beach, buffet, pool, repeat. I walked around the resort trying to get comfortable. I was alone, a little awkward, a little self-conscious in my swimsuit. But I kept telling myself, you're 35, not dead. Enjoy your life. On day 3, I went down to the beach after breakfast and picked a spot not too far from the water. I laid out my towel, put on my sunglasses, and stretched out to sunbathe. That's when I heard a man's voice beside me. Hola, you like Dominican Republic so far? I opened my eyes, and there he was. Young, attractive, athletic build, bronze skin, tattoos peeking under his t-shirt. He smiled like he already knew I'd say yes to anything he asked. He introduced himself as Samuel, 26. He said he worked as a massage therapist on the beach. We started talking. Nothing heavy at first. Where I was from, how long I was staying, if it was my first time there. He asked about my job. I told him I worked for a healthcare company in New Jersey. He nodded like that impressed him. Then, so casually, he said, "If you want, I can give you a massage right now. You look stressed. It's good for you to relax." Part of me hesitated. The other part, the part that wanted to feel something, said yes. I lay back down on the chair, and he started working on my shoulders, my neck, my back. He knew what he was doing. Between the sound of the waves and his hands on my skin, I felt my body sort of melt into the moment. He talked while he worked, said he used to own a bar, but business went bad and he had to shut it down. Now he did massages on the beach, odd jobs, whatever to pay the bills. He said it with this little shrug, like life was hard, but he wasn't a victim. I asked about his family. He told me he had 2 kids, that he was separated from their mother and they lived in Santiago. There was this mix of pride and sadness in his voice when he mentioned them. When he finished, I honestly felt amazing. I paid him what he asked, and then I added a big tip on top. He smiled and said, "Wow, gracias, Emily. You have a very good heart." Maybe that was my first mistake. Before he walked away, he turned back and said, "If you want to see the real Dominican Republic, not just the resort, I can show you. Local beaches, bars, my neighborhood. This is my country. I can be your guide." I was alone. I didn't know anyone there. And here was this handsome, kind guy offering to show me around. It felt nice, safe, special. So I said yes. After that, Samuel was with me almost every day. He'd meet me at the resort gate, and we'd hop into motoconchos and beat-up cars and go to little local spots, beaches with no tourists, tiny bars with plastic chairs and loud music, roadside food stands where he ordered for me in fast Spanish. He'd put his hand on the small of my back, crossing the street, hold my hand as we walked through crowded areas, make sure I had a drink in my hand and food on my plate. At night, he'd come back to my hotel room. The first night he stayed over, we sat on the balcony for hours while the resort got quiet. He told me about growing up poor, about trying to open a bar and failing, about wanting to give his kids a better life. I told him about my job, my routine, how I felt like I'd done everything right and still ended up alone. He listened. He really listened. At some point, the conversation just drifted into silence. He moved closer. I didn't move away. We slept together that night. In the morning, light was coming through the curtains, and I woke up with his arm around me, his face buried in my neck. It felt intimate, familiar, like we'd been doing this for years, not one night. He kissed my forehead and said softly, "Emily, you're special. I love you." I froze for a second. That word, love, hit me hard. I hadn't heard it from a man in years. "You don't even know me," I whispered. "I know enough," he said. "You are good. You are different. You make me feel calm." After that, it wasn't just vacation fun. He treated me like I was his girlfriend. He came most nights. We'd go out during the day, laugh, drink, dance, then come back to my room and stay up late, wrapped around each other, planning futures that sounded more and more real. Me coming back soon, maybe us opening a business together, maybe one day living in the same country. And yeah, I paid for everything. The food, the taxis, the drinks, little things he needed. I told myself, he doesn't make much. I have a good job. This is what couples do. They help each other. When my last day came, I cried quietly in the bathroom so he wouldn't see. At checkout, I slipped him a thick envelope of cash for helping me all week and thanked him for showing me his country. He hugged me so tightly at the airport. "Remember," he said into my ear, "you are my woman now. I love you. I will wait for you." On the plane back to New Jersey, I looked out the window and actually thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is how my love story starts. Not in a bar in Hoboken, but on a beach in Punta Cana. A week after I got home, he called me on WhatsApp. He told me he missed me, that the nights felt empty without me, that he wanted to build something real. Then he said, "Emily, I want to open a bar again, a beach bar. I know this business. If we do it right, it will make good money. For us. For our future." He said he'd found a small spot near the beach. He needed money for the permits, the paperwork, the first inventory. He said it would cost roughly $7,000. I should have stopped right there. But I didn't. I believed him. I believed in him. I wired the money. A week later, he sent me photos of a small beach bar, painted bright, a simple counter, a few plastic chairs. He was standing in front of it, smiling, holding a beer. "Our place," he texted. "We did it. Te amo." We started planning my next trip. A couple of weeks before I flew back, he messaged again. "Baby, now that I have the bar, I need a motorcycle. To move fast, buy supplies, go to the bank. A car is too expensive. A moto is enough about 4,500. By then, I was already invested, emotionally, financially, mentally. I told myself, it's a business expense, it's for us. So I sent that too. When I landed back in the Dominican Republic, he was waiting for me outside the airport with the motorcycle, a shiny one. He looked proud. He hugged me, kissed me, grabbed my suitcase, and we rode back toward Punta Cana with the wind in my face and his body pressed against mine. He showed me the bar in person. It looked like the picture, small, right off the beach. A couple of young women were working there, serving drinks, laughing with customers. He introduced them to me as his staff. "This is my girlfriend from the United States," he said in Spanish. "La dueña." The owner. It felt good, I won't lie. I felt chosen. But as I stood there, something felt off. The bar didn't look new. The paint was a little worn. The chairs didn't look freshly bought. The girls behind the counter moved like they'd been working there for a while. A thought hit me that I tried to push away. Did he already have this bar before I sent the money? Maybe he'd just changed the sign. Maybe he'd taken photos from the right angle to make it look recently opened. I wanted to believe I helped him start something, but watching him move around that bar like he'd been there for months, I had this sinking feeling I'd simply paid into something he already had, and he saw me as nothing more than easy funding. Still, I ignored that feeling. I told myself I was overthinking, that the details didn't matter as long as we were together. But the way he treated me this trip was different. He didn't stay with me the way he had the first time. At the resort before, he would show up quickly when I called, and most nights he stayed over. This time, he always seemed busy. He'd come to my hotel maybe twice a week. He'd say he was tired, the bar needed him, he had errands, his kids needed something. When I told him I planned to stay for a month so we could spend more time together, I expected him to be excited. He wasn't. He smiled, but his eyes didn't match. "Okay, a month," he said. "The bar is new, I have a lot of work, but we will see each other." That was the first real crack in the fantasy I couldn't unsee. One night, near the end of my second week, he finally came over. We ordered room service, watched TV, and he fell asleep on the bed. His phone buzzed twice. He didn't wake up. The screen lit up, and I saw WhatsApp messages from a contact saved as Amor Lucy. The name sounded familiar. It took me a second to place it. Then it hit me. One of the bar girls. The one he'd introduced with a laugh and hugged him a little too long. My heart started pounding. I told myself to put the phone down. I told myself snooping was wrong. I told myself I trusted him. I picked up the phone anyway. It was unlocked. I opened the chat. The first thing I saw was a selfie of her, wearing almost nothing, sitting on what looked like his bed. Then I saw his messages. Heart emojis. Te extraño. I miss you. Plans to meet that weekend. Her calling him mi amor, my love. I scrolled up. There were months of messages, voice notes, photos, jokes, arguments, makeup texts. My stomach flipped. I backed out to the chat list. There were other women, so many other women. Contacts saved with flags from different countries, older profile pictures, women I'd never seen before, women in bikinis posing on beaches, women sending him money transfer receipts. I felt sick. I opened Instagram. I didn't have his Instagram before, only his Facebook, which was pretty empty. On his IG, him with different women, him kissing someone's cheek, him in restaurants, on boats, at pools. The same smile he'd given me over and over with different faces. My eyes burned. I suddenly felt extremely foolish, sitting there in that resort bed with his phone in my hand, realizing I was just one of many. When he woke up, I was still holding his phone. I must have looked wrecked because his face changed instantly. "What's wrong?" he asked. I didn't yell. My voice came out small and shaking. "I saw your messages," I said. "With the girl from the bar, with all those women. You told me you loved me. You let me believe we were building something. Who am I to you?" His expression hardened. "Why did you go through my phone?" he snapped. That made me feel even smaller. "You left it open," I said. "You weren't excited I was staying a month. You barely see me." I felt something was wrong, and I was right. I listed everything: the bar girl, the naked pictures, the older women on his Instagram, the chats, the transfers. He stared at me for a second, then sighed. "Emily, this is my life," he said finally. "I spend time with women. They help me. Sometimes they pay me. That's how I survive here. But with you, it was different. I wanted to leave that life. I wanted to do something on my own. That's why I started the bar." "You started the bar with my money," I said quietly. He didn't deny it. I looked at him, really looked at him for the first time without filters. All the late night I love yous, all the future talk, all the "you're different" speeches, they weren't proof of love. They were tools. He knew exactly how to talk to a lonely, kind-hearted woman from New Jersey who wanted to believe. I told him I felt scammed, used, humiliated. I told him I'd been considering moving there one day, building a life with him, maybe even being a stepmom to his kids. He tried to soften his tone, sit closer, take my hand. "You're overreacting," he said. "You know how things are here. Life is hard. I'm trying. The bar is real. I didn't lie about that." But the illusion was gone. That night, after he left, I got on my phone and booked a flight back to New Jersey for the next day. I packed my suitcase in silence. I didn't sleep. I didn't tell him I was leaving. I just checked out, got in a taxi, and watched Punta Cana shrink in the rearview mirror while my chest felt like it was being crushed. I had lost more than money. It wasn't just the $7,000 for the bar or the $4,500 for the motorcycle. It was all the extras too: tips, dinners, drinks, little emergencies, plane tickets, and time. By the time I added it all up, I'd poured around $14,000 into a man who saw me as a temporary investment. But the worst part wasn't financial, it was emotional. I had given my trust, my body, my time, my hope to someone who saw me as a walking opportunity. Back in New Jersey, he messaged me nonstop for a few days. "Baby, talk to me. You know I love you. Don't let this ruin what we have. Come back and we talk in person." I read every message. I didn't answer. To this day, I still don't know the full truth. I don't know if that bar really started with my money, or if it was already his, and he just used me as an ATM to expand a life he never planned to share with me. And that's the part that haunts you after a situation like this. Not just what you lost, but never really knowing how deep the lie went. Finally, one morning, I opened the chat, scrolled all the way up, looked at the first "I love you" he'd ever sent, and then I blocked him. I cried. I blamed myself. I told myself I was stupid, naive, desperate. But over time, I realized something. I wasn't stupid. I was just unprepared. I walked into a place where this kind of hustle is normal for some people, and I believed that my good intentions would protect me. They didn't. So if you're a woman, especially an older woman, planning to go to the Dominican Republic or anywhere similar, and a younger, handsome beach boy approaches you at the resort, understand this: the sun will feel amazing. The music will make you forget your age. The attention will feel like oxygen after years of emotional starvation. The nights will feel real. But to some of these men, it's not romance, it's work. If he's significantly younger, if he moves too fast, if you're paying for everything, if he's talking about business ideas and visas and future plans after a few days, it's not fate, it's opportunity. And you're the opportunity. I can't get my money back. I can't erase the nights I spent believing a lie, but I can protect my heart better going forward. And if my story keeps even one woman from falling for her own Samuel on some sunny beach, then at least something good came out of what happened to me. Thank you for your time.